The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to Soccer to the Max Midweek. As I'm your host, Sean Garmer, and here with me, Mr. Erik Watkins.
Yay! Today was still fun, sober. Tomorrow I make no promises.
Which he just debuted his new podcast, which it's still under Fox and Squid, but you can listen to the first episode of Point of Viewer right now if you subscribe to the W2M Network. So make sure you go hit that subscribe button, download. You'll see the episode, and you can go listen to Erik talking about a number of things for an hour, which is quite enjoyable, honestly. Just runs the gambit, so you definitely need to go check that out. But we are here to talk about soccer, and I want to say about 2 or 3 hours ago, the New England Revolution and San Jose Earthquakes battled to a 0-0 draw. It was one of those fun 0-0 draws. It was not boring by any stretch of the imagination. Lots of action going on, especially on New England's end. And then San Jose could go on the counter and do their own thing. And then in the second half, things kind of evened up. And San Jose was going to be more of the run of play. I just like the fact that you just had a lot of stuff going on, and it's attacking. No goals, but you definitely had a bunch of chances. You had a ball go off the crossbar, ball go off the post. Goalkeepers almost have gaffes, and then lots of nice goalkeeper saves as well. I mean, what did you? I know your stream was kind of bad, but you see anything in particular there?
I loved the fact. Well, first of all, I knew the score line was going to be about what I would expect, given these two teams. But when you mentioned the attacking, a lot of set pieces, free kicks within close that nearly went in, bit of bad luck there. A lot of good strategy, especially on the corners. I mean, it was overall, again, a very exciting, very good match. I loved what New England did, tweaking their starting lineup a bit, having Kei Kamara come off the bench, that we could get some key fresher legs, and I thought someone was going to score myself. That was the only thing missing from that game, but fun nevertheless.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing missing was the goals going in, but I think if you wanted to go back and watch it, or even watch the condensed version, there's going to be plenty of stuff for them to put in there for that 20 minutes of almost chances and missed opportunities, and some great saves in there too. Cody Cropper had a terrific one that he had to save right in a split instant. I got to give him a lot of credit for that. So
sometimes when you only have a half second to react, you can even surprise yourself in some cases, because it's just like, well, this is either going to hit me or be disastrous, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I don't think that either team can really kind of walk away upset about getting the draw, other than obviously you want to convert those chances. But it was a well-earned point for both teams, and sets things off really well for MLS going into week 8 already. Can't believe we're already talking about week 8 of the season, and I guess we might as well just get into the preview. Then we'll get into some small news and notes. Some that we'll just kind of run through, or one in particular that we're going to run through while we talk about a certain team, and then we'll talk about some NWSL, the games that are going on this week, and close out with now I can't remember what else we're talking about here, but
I know you had mentioned before the CONCACAF under 17s.
I was not even going to mention that because I'm not going to pretend like I know any of those players. When the games actually start on Friday, and if you can even watch them. I gotta know if they're on even on TV.
Usually, no. When it comes to TV, you may be able to find them online, but for something like that, oh God, I know beIN would carry the South American Championships, but anything in this part of the world, the best you could see is when our U20s make the World Cup. So, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like, it might be, like UDN has it too. But I'll find that out as we, well, what does it say here? CONCACAF. I'll look for this once it says, what is this? Facebook Live is going to have it, looks like.
Oh, yeah, is it Facebook? You know what? No, I went on that rant on Point of Viewer, so I'm going to shut up about Facebook Live.
Yeah, it's Facebook Live is going to have some games, and then yes, Univision Deportes is going to have some of the games as well. So that sucks for me. I will not be able to watch those.
Neither will I. I don't have Univision Deportes either.
That's kind of crappy, though. Why would you put the Mexico games on Facebook? Like, because one of them, the Mexico...
Because Mexico?
I know, but like, okay, so one of them they're going to put on Facebook as well as Univision Deportes, and then the Mexico-US game you're not going to put on Facebook. The game that everybody's going to want to see. Like, okay, whatever. But, yeah, so, and U.S. got in a tough group here. They got El Salvador, Mexico, and Jamaica. So...
Could be worse.
At the younger levels, though, Jamaica and El Salvador are pretty dynamite. So.
True, but...
Because you have the errors that you get from running with the ball too much or making the long strides and all that. Everybody kind of has those errors, so they kind of even out.
True.
But, yeah, I'm not going to sit there and act like I know anything about this. But, again, Navy, on Sunday, on the Sunday show, once they played a game, or two, in fact, because they'll have played 2 games by the time we have a show again, we can talk about it if we've watched them. So, anyway, getting into the MLS Week 8 here, the rest of it.
Is it already Week 8, or is it still considered Week 7?
No,
I'm confused.
This is Week 8.
Oh,
we've officially fixed the schedule already.
Yeah, then Google might. Yeah.
I don't know. It depends. Like when I listen to like the official MLS podcast, whatever they call it, Week 8. Other places call it. It's called Week 8 on the MLS website. So let's just go with that.
All right.
So what are we doing here? So it looks like there is a couple of games, or one game on Friday, which is not on. It's on TSN because it's Canada, but it doesn't seem like it's on any of the national stations. The big games are Saturday and the 2 on Sunday. So you have Toronto FC in Chicago, the flying Chicago Fire, with our friend Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Ha!
Right on cue, visiting Canada here. And Toronto's been looking good as well. This is, I think we're going to get lots of goals. This might be a fun game.
This one's probably going to be on the verge of the 3-3, and I'm saying that's about the most that you can get because Toronto is playing fast and loose with this 4-2-3-1, but it's going to resemble a lot like the New England-San Jose match, except, actual scoring.
Yeah, exactly. I think, the chances should go in on that one, but hey, you never know. Just because you have all this attacking talent doesn't mean that, it's going to happen for you. So,
but
Go ahead.
But if this went in scoreless, I mean, I'd be on the verge of smacking people. I mean, 1-1 I can understand, or a 1-0, but something's got to go in the net.
Yeah, certainly. And, Chicago's been... They certainly look like they can score, but they've had their times where defending is a problem for them, especially down the right side. So, you have to wonder there, especially with the talent that Toronto has, is that going to be enough to cover them? And Toronto has their own sort of worries over there on the left side defensively. So, should be an interesting affair as far as who can keep the ball out of the net, honestly. So, moving on from Friday, we get into the Saturday slate. Here, the first game is Philadelphia and Montreal. We saw Montreal with Ignacio Piatti look much more like themselves. Philadelphia didn't have a great game last time, but, I mean, this is why you got to play them. Every week is different. It seems like every week there's teams that have always been very, very consistent, but there's also been teams where it feels like you're talking about them in a bad way, and then, hey, let's see if they do something this week, and it turns out for them. My problem is where the goals going to come from for Philadelphia. It seems like we were talking about that with DC United. They started scoring, even though last week was a back to that.
Don't remind me.
Philadelphia's really had a tough time with it.
They have, and it's going to be any tougher because look at what Montreal was able to do just last week against Atlanta. They got almost entirely shut down. So Philly is really going to be lucky to get the ball a lot in their attacking half. It could be a very ugly day. Ugly day.
Yeah, especially if Piatti gets going and they don't have somebody really kind of trying to... I mean, he's hard to keep a handle on, let's be honest here. And, you got Johnny Vestabla coming back. They haven't really gotten to play too much together, so it's... could Montreal even get better and be more dynamic than we saw last week? So
They really could, because your biggest, anywhere remote defensive threat for Philadelphia is Gooch. You have him at least trying to mark one of those players. You could potentially have one or two others that could get around that, get some open space, and next thing you know, you've given up a goal. So, really, how are the Union going to manage that? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm going to give the edge to the Impact here. Another
Ditto.
2-0.
2-0 sounds about right.
And after this, on the 4 o'clock, we got Houston Dynamo, who are doing pretty well this season, and the Earthquakes have to play again. They have to play Houston here in Houston. So they had to travel to New England and play that midweek game, and then they have to play Houston here. So short rest, this is going to be a rough one.
Can you say 3-0?
I don't know. I feel like San Jose had so many close chances. It could be one of those 2-1s or something like that, with San Jose running down the door at the end.
Yeah, but can San Jose look at Minnesota's blueprint and catch them in back for chaos? Do they have the energy left after playing this midweek match and not converting any of those chances to create that opportunity? I don't know. And especially you got Kubo Torres running wild.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to worry about the attack, right?
Yeah.
There is a reason why you're not finishing those chances, but Houston also, very much like we saw with New England, they have problems with defensively. So it's quite possible that they're letting in the goals, and this game is a lot closer than it should be. So I would go with the 2-1. I think for Houston here.
Okay, that we'll see. If San Jose comes out flat those first 20 minutes, match is over. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, certainly. So with that, we go on to the next game on the slate here, and that is Portland at home taking on Vancouver on MLS Live, also on 4 o'clock. And, well, Portland has been rolling. Vancouver got a nice win against Seattle, but, man, I kind of tend to favor Portland in the other Cascadia match here. They've just been too good.
Too good at home. Great in transition. Now this one I can see as a 2-1 because Vancouver is going to be riding high, but nah, Timbers are going to keep sawing those logs.
I would agree with you there. You get New England in the night game 7:30 taking on DC United. New England gets to stay at home. How did this work out? San Jose gets to travel twice, and New England just gets to stay at home the whole time.
Well, when you have someone, they're not just planning parades, but someone getting to fly on a certain famous airplane and certain people getting to move and visit certain people in office at a certain place and taking a certain picture with empty staircases, you'll get certain advantages.
There was a lot of empty staircases there. 33 players don't go.
Yeah, very. It warmed my cockles.
It says something about you. It says something about you as a president. That's terrible. Okay, so yeah. I don't want to make this a political podcast, so we'll stop right there.
Yeah, but in saying that, I don't want to say these words, but I kind of have to. I could see New England somehow winning. Part of me just felt dirty saying that. I need a shower.
Why do you say that?
I mean, DC United, while they're trying to clean up their act, they've still got the one to be big and bad and throw their weight around, and I didn't notice Nyarko in the last match, and he's been somewhat of a Taylor Kemp's go-to man in the attack. So with this and how well they were able to do against San Jose, New England could pull out a 1-0 win here.
Yeah, I think as long as you're able to find some of that defense and you're able to get some of the saves that you got in the San Jose game, I think New England might be all right. 1-0 for me on that, and New England should. I could even see another draw just because DC's tough defensively. It's not always easy to crack on.
Yeah, if DC doesn't play stupid, then they can at the very least get a draw. If they play stupid, then there's problems.
So the New York Red Bulls, they're at home taking on Columbus, who's playing really well. Red Bulls are also, they have their ups and downs, but they're coming off a 2-0 win over DC, and then Columbus is coming off the big win on their end as well. So, two winning teams facing each other in New York. At home, I feel like this is going to be one of those, 2-2 draws or something like that.
2-2, maybe 1-1. Bit more clamping down defensively, but yeah, this one is draw written all over it.
What do you think? More Justin Merrim doing his thing. Yeah, Ole Kamara or BWP getting the goals. What?
Probably Ole Kamara and BWP. They each create moments of magic, one in each half. Winds up a 1-1 draw. I can see that.
Well, speaking of Ole Kamara, he is one of the guys that would stand to benefit from a new report that came out yesterday, technically, because right now, while we're recording, it's already gone over the midnight line. It is now technically Thursday.
Happy 420, everybody.
Yeah, happy 420 to everyone. Happy birthday to he will not listen to this at all, but happy birthday to my dad yesterday. I would have given him the call, but, just professionally on the show, get to tell him that. That's pretty nice. So the targeted allocation money, there is a meeting next week with the MLS team owners in Colorado that they're going to talk various things. That one of the things on the table is an increase in TAM benefits for each club. There would be an increase of $8.8 million over what was expected for 2017. So apparently they were moving from each team's respective TAM total of $1.2 million this season. So they want to move that up even more. More than $42 million of TAM was used in 2016 and 2017, and one of those guys was, Ole Kamara is paid with TAM money. Mauro Diaz on FC Dallas, Dax McCarty, Brad Guzan, who still has not played for Atlanta, and Jermaine Jones, some of the highlights of players on TAM. But what do you think? I'm always for salary increases in MLS. These guys don't get paid enough compared to the other pro sports, and until I see, I don't think that we should be doing the extravagance of other pro sports teams, but still definitely those salaries could use bumping up, and giving the teams more TAM money to get better players is not a bad thing in my opinion.
Not at all. And I like the approach using things like an extra designated player, which MLS did. That was a big plus. And now more TAM money. This is the closest parallel that I could see is kind of like the NBA, where you have a soft salary cap and then a hard salary cap. I see MLS with this TAM money and these designated players kind of going towards that model. And I think that would be great, not just for individual teams who want to try to spend money, get the better players, and be competitive. It's a big plus because the money's there to offer. But you still get this sort of parity in this level of competition league-wide, where you don't develop like a big 3, big 4, big 6 like you see in a lot of European countries. So MLS is doing it right.
Yeah, I saw Pirlo and a few other, the international players talking about how they'd like to see the salary cap go away, obviously, and make it be more like, what you see in European football and everything else. Obviously, MLS has this structure because they don't want the teams getting out of hand with money and bringing in players and then not being able to afford them and that kind of thing. And also just getting like the NASL where you have these super teams and all that kind of stuff.
Well, there's super team singular in the Cosmos.
Right. So do you think it's bad for MLS to kind of follow the U.S. model and have salary cap?
No.
Or should they be more like soccer and not have it?
No, because again, even when you don't have a salary cap, look at baseball. You have teams that buy titles, or try to buy titles. It doesn't work. And even look at soccer. You have teams that are willing to throw money and try to get titles. Sometimes it works. Manchester City. Sometimes it doesn't. Leicester City. teams like Leicester City, as is, they had to scratch and claw, and thankfully they're getting their revenue from making a deep run in the Champions League for them to at least try to stay in the Premier League this season. But I still say MLS is doing it right, because you can't outright create these super teams that really takes away from the rest of your league. But at the same time, you can still build good teams that are perennial playoff and MLS Cup contenders.
Yeah, I agree. I think you still need to have parity in the league, and the cap, as much as, look, I just talked about any kind of raise in player salary is great, especially for MLS. And, we talked about the U.S. Women's National Team NWSL salary thing, previously. They don't make enough money compared to what the European soccer players and all that do. But I think once you take that cap away, you cannot make it be a free-for-all. It's a reason why you have it in the other American sports. You don't want that with MLS either. The parity works, especially in a place where you have playoffs and all that kind of thing. You kind of don't want, even though, yes, it ends up happening. For long stretches, you do have the same teams getting to the playoffs and winning championships or being on the championship conversation. You want that ability to be able to see other teams be able to move up and down in a given year, and that's what makes this sort of special for me.
Oh, yeah.
So getting back to the action at hand here, the next game is a rematch. We've always seen FC Dallas and Sporting KC play each other once this year. That was a 0-0 draw. That was when FC Dallas was sitting some players because of the CONCACAF Champions League game that they had coming up. This is a much different.
How did that work?
This is a much different deal. Dallas not going to be sitting anyone. Sporting KC is not either. KC coming off the win. Dallas coming off the draw that shouldn't have happened in the closing seconds. I feel like we're headed to another draw, though. These are two defensive teams that can score. I think they're top two in the league, in fact, on defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Especially if Sporting isn't, then they really should be, with a number of clean sheets and stuff that they've had. In this one, it could be a better 0-0 result, but it still might wind up 0-0.
I'm going to go 1-1. I think they score at least.
It's possible, very possible, and I know especially Dallas is going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. 1-1 wouldn't surprise me, neither would 0-0, but if I had to choose, I would go 0-0. Especially because Sporting Kansas City, they just hate to give up goals.
True that on you. Sporting KC not big on giving up the goals, and they will score if they need to. So this could also be a game where you see plenty of that as well. You get Real Salt Lake, who's been perfect under Mike Petke so far, taking on Atlanta. RSL is at home, 9:30, the last MLS live game of the week. Atlanta did get some good news because the independent panel rescinded Leandro Gonzalez Pires' red card that was given for a dog show that was wrongly called, and I immediately, as soon as it was called, I said, if that's a red card, what the hell am I watching? Because I don't think I've watched soccer the past years of my life. That totally looked like incidental. He was trying to... That's a yellow card, certainly. He still stopped there from scoring, but it's not a red. There wasn't malicious intent in that.
Well, and again, that's one part judgment call, one part letter of the law.
I feel like when if VAR was in, that would have been overturned on VAR.
It would have. I agree with you there, because it would have added a second look and a little more objectivity. And that's why I've never really liked judgment calls, and a lot of referees who kind of take it upon themselves. And again, letter of the law versus spirit of the law, but the good thing is the independent panel got that decision right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad the independent panel got this right. They rescinded it. Gonzalez Perez keeps playing in this game, and I feel like this could be a fun game. Atlanta's team that gets up the field. They have gotten better defensively. Real Salt Lake has been tremendous under Petke. I feel like they might keep rolling, though. 2-1 RSL.
Depends on the weather. If it winds up another borderline snow classico like there was last week, RSL can easily take it. But altogether, yeah, I'd say 2-1 sounds about right. I don't think Atlanta really wouldn't be used to playing with that altitude, so that's going to be in RSL's favor. That's going to slow them down a teeny bit.
Yes, exactly. So, moving on now to the two national games on Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. NYCFC at home at Yankee Stadium against Orlando FC. NYCFC did get some great news this week on their in the the academy team. They won the 2017 Generation Adidas Cup. Giovanni Reyna, son of Carlos Reyna, scored the penalty in extra time, and they beat Tigres 1-0. So, congratulations, NYCFC. That's huge. You play Real Madrid. You play some big teams.
There is hope as of yet for MLS. Change could be coming down the road. That's a big deal, but...
pretty cool that a legend's son scores the goal, too.
Well, it's very fitting. It's just that, unfortunately, then as the time comes, I'd have to be going up, or Orlando would have to be going up against him, which is like crap. As if we don't have enough issues in dealing with NYCFC now.
What do you think, though? Orlando's been scoring them late and scoring and winning games. NYCFC's been looking good, though. I really think this could be a game where the Pirlo experiment could get exposed, though. Pirlo has been looking his age, very much so this year.
Whoa!
And man, I'm waiting for that day where he is going to get totally exposed.
Well, we can be the team to expose him, but like I've been saying, we've been doing lucky with some damn good home cooking. But so has NYCFC. For this one, I'm going to split the difference and say it'll be a draw. My heart's telling me NYCFC can take this one, but if we can figure out, not even so much defensively, but in the midfield, how to make Pirlo disappear, then we can get that match in hand.
Yeah, I definitely think you have the players to do it with. Rivas can certainly run. You got the Higuita that played really well last week.
Mm-hmm.
He was pissed when he was taken up. And, of course, Kyle Laren, always the scoring threat. And, NYCFC, of course, you got David Villa you got to worry about, and many of their other players that are dangerous. So this could be a really fun game. I would say a 2-2 wouldn't be too far-fetched.
2-2. Maybe even 3-3, because the only thing about with this one, 4-3-3 win, especially when they have David Villa, Maxi Morales, they're insane, especially when they get inside the box. And even with our diamond formation, I don't know how we can counter with those transitions. But at the same time, I don't know how they could necessarily deal with Orlando City's transitions. So there's going to be a lot of chances on this one on both ends.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And you know that with the cardiac kids in Orlando, like they have been, just watch out. It's never over, especially if you're one goal down. Be careful if you're NYCFC. And in the final game of the evening, they're ending them. I think. Let me make sure before I. Nope, there is one more game after this, but it's not on the national end. But they're going to be ending them early, so we could cover all the games this week on the podcast. 4 p.m. ESPN, LA Galaxy taking on Seattle. We saw the Galaxy against Orlando, how much of a crazy team they were at the beginning and then at the end. And then Seattle's kind of had it rough at times this season. I feel like we could see another draw here, but maybe Seattle edges it out 1-0.
I don't know. I like the 1-0, but I don't think it's Seattle. I think if LA can get to that level of pressure like they had the last 20 minutes against Orlando City and like they did at the beginning, I think they can crack the Sounders early and hold them off. Now, if they don't, then it's more likely for a draw. But that early goal seems a lot more possible.
I mean, you're right about that, especially being at home. You never know if Josh Zarda is now getting another game. He's already had one game, getting another game in. Could he get more accustomed and being more like the Josh Zardas of old? That's definitely a possibility, too. Gio Dos Santos getting more accustomed to being on there with him, too, who he totally disappeared in the previous game. So, Seattle's got a rough defense, so you got to worry about that. But I'll stick with that prediction. Seattle 1-0. And then in the final game, 6 o'clock, Minnesota and Colorado, the two teams that traded with each other. Minnesota at home taking on the Rapids. Two teams that yeah, exactly. Awkward. And we've seen Colorado have trouble scoring. We've seen Minnesota at times have trouble scoring.
At times.
Right.
At times.
Plenty of times. Say that. Yeah. This could easily be a 0-0 or it could be a 2-2. It just depends. At home, you know what? I'm gonna say Minnesota sneaks 1-0. They win.
What?
If there's gonna be a team to do it against, Colorado, that would be it. No Tim Howard either.
Yeah, but I can give them a quick moment of attack, like they had in those 15 minutes, in the first 15 minutes in the second half against Houston. They're liable. Colorado isn't settled in. They can sneak one. But I think Colorado can be just as lucky because, again, Minnesota needed those 2 goals to equalize. They were down 2-0, deservedly down 2-0. I think if Colorado can keep them off balance throughout the first half, Minnesota comes back and it'll be 1-1. But as I've said before, and I'll say it again, United's going to have to be the team unless the Twins can pull off some miracle run. Wild are on the verge of getting swept, so not a lot going on in Minnesota right now.
Always got to bring those other teams into it.
Look, I'm sorry, but it's Minnesota. It's Minnesota. It's Minnesota.
I forgot to mention Jack McInerney signed with the Galaxy, so that gives him a little bit of a scoring punch. You like that move? They definitely need it.
They really do, and that's why I say with that move they can get that early threat. He brings an extra element of surprise, and he can also really sustain things, and that's why I say Galaxy could still take that one. Rachel's gonna hate me.
Watch out now. So that's it for the games this week. There is a couple of other things to talk about here. The MLS, NWSL, and U.S. Soccer are going to co-host a head injury prevention summit. It's on Friday and Saturday this weekend. I like that they're doing this, and they're kind of just getting all the two major leagues together to kind of, hey, understand that concussions are a thing. We need to anything else that we can talk about and become knowledgeable about with this is a good thing, because we have those head-on collisions that happen in soccer when you're both going for headers. It can be gruesome.
Yeah, you have head-on collisions for 50-50 balls. You have a lot of science coming out with what happens with players if they take a lot of headers. I think it's a great thing that they are getting on board the concussion train, so to speak, like joining football, rugby, all these other contact sports, when they realize they're susceptible for these similar kinds of injuries themselves. And the fact that, again, U.S. Soccer and MLS and NWSL attacking from all sides, very great move.
Yeah, hopefully we get, who knows if we're going to get any more policies brought in because of this, but I just like hearing this, and especially after Steve Birnbaum apparently had a concussion, and this is not the first one for him.
No, and that one looked a little ugly. That one worried me a bit. So I hope they really, now I don't know exactly how the MLS concussion protocol is, but I hope at the very least for his sake they handle him with very kid gloves.
Yeah, I hope so as well, just because, I hate to see it be a wrong diagnosis and he gets another one. Just, you don't want to have a ton of these.
Right.
It's always scary. So, I think, is there anything else that we needed to cover on this show? Oh, let me run through the NWSL things really quick here. Just because it's kind of unfair for us to talk about MLS, and when we're talking about NWSL, we don't give them a little preview. Amy Rodriguez tearing her ACL. That sucks.
I heard about that, and I'm just like, ow.
And Joanna Loam also tore her ACL too.
What? Is this some kind of trend that I don't know about? Because it's kind of scary, especially just for first week of the season.
Yeah, you just hate seeing that first week of the season. Amy Rodriguez, it was such a big deal for her to come back, and then she totally season-ending injury, and it affects U.S. Women's National Team as well. So it's one of those terrible things you hate hearing about, and then just Joanna Loam too. All these injuries, just So I hate seeing this. My computer decided it wanted to be weird right now. I don't know why we're having this problem, but I think Houston Dash also a quadra player, but I can't even get the schedule going on here because it's not.
Well,
my computer's not moving.
Let's see if I have it right. You've got your 4 o'clock matches on Saturday. Orlando hosting Washington, which, if I remember right, this should be the debut of Marta.
Yes, should be the debut of Marta. It's the Lifetime Game of the Week as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to carve out time on my Saturday to tune into that one.
Yeah, I definitely want to see this game. If don't know if she's going to start or if she's going to come off the bench, but I really hope that we get to see her, because they kind of said something about we might see her in the previous game, and that didn't happen. I should mention that the Washington Spirit are the ones that lose out on Joanna Lohman tearing her ACL, so they're going to be without another player on a team that's already down stars from the previous season. So, sucks for her. And there's that big announcement of Mallory Pugh saying she's going pro. Another reason why, definitely, I think. I don't think that NWSL does the allocation thing, but definitely why I think she needs to go to Washington and kind of lively up that team a bit, because they really need some star power.
They're in the most dire straits, and I don't know if NWSL has a similar structure as MLS, but if they do, and Washington can come right in and swoop her up, hey, all the better.
Now, I'm not really a big fan of this, just because I think that they need to figure out something with the times, but there's no reason why, if you have a Lifetime Game of the Week, there should be another game going on at the same time.
Well, I'm guessing because you have limited windows of opportunities. Now, I know a lot of NWSL clubs share stadia with their MLS counterparts. I don't think that's the case for Chicago.
KC does, though.
Okay. But is this match in Chicago? Chicago Red Stars
This
against
match is in
FCKC?
Chicago, right.
Okay, so yeah, they could have probably moved that around, especially if it's a Chicago home match, to where they could have, worked that out to have Orlando and Washington as more of a standalone.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully they figure that out going forward. But Chicago KC should be interesting. Chicago is one of the teams that didn't look very good in their first game. KC, on the other hand, Sydney Leroux coming in and scoring. Of course, they're going to be without Amy Rodriguez now for the rest of the season. But I think just with her and a few of the other her teammates, I think they could make it a 2-for-2 and get another win here.
They easily could, because the one blessing, if you can call it that, is these kinds of injuries happen at the beginning of the season when you're at your most malleable, and it's easier to try to work around and piecemeal a team together and still get results. I think they can do that.
Definitely. I just think KC just looked really dominant against Boston. There was a few times where Boston had chances, but it just I feel like Chicago's going to suffer the same fate here. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 2-0 against Chicago. You think Orlando gets some revenge for the loss last week, and they finally got on the board here with points? Washington was probably might have been the worst team.
If they could get some of that rub, definitely is a home match. Even if Marta comes on halftime, 60th, 65th minute, yeah, they can put together something 1-0, maybe 2-0. If Washington is really that threadbare, yeah, the Pride will be just fine.
Then you get to the 7:30 spot, North Carolina Courage and Portland Thorns. Portland looked really good last week against an Orlando squad. It's nothing to shake your stick at, but North Carolina also looked really good. So this could be a early season fun clash between the two. It's in Carolina. I'm going to say a draw here, 1-1.
Yeah, for this one, these are the two kind of teams to where they look great, but when they clash, they're going to quickly figure each other out. So a draw would make a lot of sense here, even though Carolina maybe late might sneak a winner, but I doubt it.
Yeah, that's always possible, and being at home, with the crowd behind you, very possible here. But we'll let's see what happens. This game is, of course, after the last game of the week. So if you want more soccer, even after that game at 7:30, there's a nightcap game, 10 o'clock. You have if my computer will stop being weird all of a sudden.
Seattle and Houston.
Yeah, the Houston Dash is one of the teams that looked great. That fantastic goal that will be probably the goal of the week scored in that game too. This could be another interesting one. I'm going to give the edge to Houston, though, 1-0 on this one.
I mean, with Houston coming off such a great match, travel really doesn't seem to bother them. They're going to be under the Saturday night lights, and they figure, why not make it 2-for-2 themselves? So, Houston can take this one.
And the last game on Sunday is
Boston and Sky Blue.
Yeah, Sky Blue is one of the two teams along with Seattle. I didn't get to watch that game, so I haven't seen them yet. But Boston didn't look too great against KC. They had a couple of chances late, but I'll go with Boston here to kind of get back in the flow, win with a 2-1.
They may need a late one themselves, but from what little I did see of Sky Blue, I wasn't impressed. So I think Boston being at home, maybe closer to 1-0.
All right, so anything else you wanted to discuss about the world of soccer before we get out of here?
A final thought. Why can't we get our act together with professional futsal? God knows we could use a league. We could make it and get ourselves more competitive on the grand stage. And you can work around scheduling with the MASL. Come on. Stop dangling the carrot in front of my face. I want to eat it.
There you go. You heard it. Erik wants to eat the carrot. Give it to him, guys. Give it to him. So, until we see you again Sunday night, where we will be talking about all these games we just previewed. And along with Miss Rachel McCrigger, that will hopefully give you much more insight on what's going on with the NWSL. And hopefully Erik will be able to watch some games this week now. So
Fingers crossed. If I have another good days with technology, and it's much more likely.
But until then, guys, enjoy your soccer. Big knockout of Barcelona in the Champions League.
Somehow all just feels right.
And Dortmund, too. That was sad for Christian Pulisic. But can't win them all, I guess.
Nah, Borussia, they'll get back there.
Well, later, everybody.
Peace.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.